That Friday morning, when I arrived at Riverside Manor to sign conservatorship papers for my mother, I thought I was doing the responsible thing. Have you ever had that moment where you're about to make a decision that feels wrong in your gut, but everyone around you is telling you it's the right thing to do? That's exactly where I was, pen in hand, when the night janitor, a man I'd barely noticed in 3 months of visits, gripped my shoulder and whispered, "Mrs. Peterson, don't sign those papers. Please. Just give me 10 minutes to show you something." His hand was shaking, and there was genuine fear in his eyes. That's the only reason I listened. Let me back up. My mother, Dorothy Whitmore, was 78 years old and had been a resident at Riverside Manor for 6 months. After a minor stroke left her with some confusion and mobility issues, my brother-in-law, Marcus Chen, had convinced my sister Jennifer that Mom needed professional care. I'd pushed back at first. Mom was still sharp most days, still recognized us, still had opinions about everything. But Jennifer had shown me incident reports. Mom wandering the halls at night, forgetting to take her medications, once leaving the stove on for hours at home before the stroke. Marcus, an attorney, had explained it all very logically. Mom needed supervision. Riverside Manor was one of the best facilities in Connecticut. It cost $15,000 a month, but Mom could afford it. She'd built a successful catering business over 40 years and sold it for a substantial sum. Her trust was worth about $4 million. The conservatorship, Marcus explained, was just a formality. Jennifer and I would be co-conservators, making medical and financial decisions on Mom's behalf. It was standard procedure for elderly patients with cognitive decline. The facility administrator, a polished woman named Diane Rothman, had been very supportive, very understanding. She'd scheduled the signing for a Friday morning when Mom would be in her art therapy session. "No need to upset her with legal proceedings," Diane had said with a practiced smile. "These things can be confusing for patients with dementia." Except Mom didn't have dementia. Not really. Yes, she got confused sometimes. Yes, she repeated herself. But she knew who we were. She knew what day it was. She told me just last week that she didn't trust Marcus, that something felt wrong about how much control he was taking over her finances. I dismissed it as paranoia, as her stroke-addled brain making connections that weren't there. After all, Marcus had been married to Jennifer for 12 years. He was family. So there I was, sitting in Diane Rothman's elegant office with its view of the manicured gardens, about to sign away my mother's autonomy. Jennifer was there, looking tired and relieved. Marcus was there, his expensive suit perfectly pressed, his briefcase open with all the documents organized in color-coded tabs. The family attorney he'd recommended, a man named Barry Steinberg, was there to notarize everything. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was saying this was for the best. And then Miguel Santos, the night janitor, appeared in the doorway. "Excuse me," he said quietly. "Mrs. Peterson, I need to speak with you. It's about your mother." Marcus frowned. "This is a private meeting. Whatever maintenance issue you have can wait." "It's not about maintenance," Miguel said, and his voice was shaking. "Please, Mrs. Peterson, just 10 minutes. Diane Rothman stood up, her professional demeanor cracking slightly. "Miguel, this is completely inappropriate. You need to leave now, or I'll have to write you up." But I saw something in Miguel's eyes. Fear, yes, but also determination. The kind of look my mother used to get when she knew she was right about something and wouldn't back down. 10 minutes, I said, standing up. "I'd like to use the restroom anyway," Jennifer sighed. "Linda, we've been planning this all week. Can't it wait?" 10 minutes, I repeated, and followed Miguel out of the office. He led me down the hallway, walking quickly, glancing over his shoulder. "I shouldn't be doing this," he muttered. "I could lose my job. But I can't let this happen. Not when I know." "Know what?" I demanded, trying to keep up with him. "Miguel, what's going on?" He took me to a small office near the laundry room, a space I'd never noticed before, cluttered with cleaning supplies and a desk with several monitors showing security camera feeds. "I work nights," he explained, pulling up a rolling chair for me. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. I see things that happen when family members aren't here. He sat down at the computer, his fingers moving quickly across the keyboard. 3 weeks ago, I started noticing Mr. Chen, your brother-in-law, coming to visit your mother very late at night. 2, 3 in the morning. Always alone. I thought maybe he was just a devoted son-in-law, checking on her. But then I saw. He pulled up a video file, dated 3 weeks earlier, time-stamped 2:47 a.m. The footage showed my mother's room. Mom was asleep in bed. The door opened, and Marcus entered quietly, carrying what looked like a small box. I watched as he went to the mini fridge in her room, removed several bottles of what looked like juice and water, and replaced them with identical bottles from his box. Then he did something to her pill organizer. I couldn't see exactly what, but he was definitely switching something out. What is he doing? I breathed. Changing her medications, I think, Miguel said. And look at this one. He pulled up another file, dated 2 weeks ago, 3:15 a.m. Same thing. Marcus entering the room, switching out bottles, tampering with her pills. But why would he? I started. And then it hit me. The conservatorship. If Mom was deemed mentally incompetent, Jennifer and I would control her money. Except Jennifer always deferred to Marcus about financial matters. Marcus, who handled their investments, who'd become Jennifer's financial advisor before they got married. Marcus, who would essentially control $4 million. There's more, Miguel said quietly. He pulled up a different video, this one from just last week. It showed Marcus in an empty conference room at the facility, late at night, talking with Diane Rothman. No audio, but their body language was clear. This wasn't a casual conversation. Diane handed Marcus a folder. Marcus counted out what looked like a substantial stack of cash and handed it to her. They shook hands. She's been giving him access, Miguel said. To your mother's medical records, to her room, to everything. I think she's also been documenting symptoms that don't exist, making your mother look worse than she is. I felt my hands clench into fists. You've had these videos for weeks. Why didn't you show anyone? Miguel looked down. I tried. I went to Mrs. Rothman. She said I was mistaken, that Mr. Chen was authorized to be there. She implied I'd lose my job if I kept making trouble. I went to the day shift supervisor. She said the same thing. He pulled out a flash drive from his pocket. I started copying everything. Every video of Mr. Chen's visits. Every conversation I could capture. I thought maybe I could go to the police, but I'm just the janitor. Who would believe me? But you're her daughter. You'd believe your own mother, right? What do you mean? She knows, Miguel said simply. Mrs. Whitmore. She told me last week that her son-in-law was trying to drug her, that she was pretending to be more confused than she was because she was scared. She didn't know who to trust. She said her daughter Jennifer wouldn't listen, but she thought maybe you would. My heart was hammering. Where is she now? My mother? Art therapy, like Mrs. Rothman said. But Mrs. Peterson, if you sign those papers today, Mr. Chen will have immediate access to her accounts. I heard him tell Mrs. Rothman they needed it done this week because there's a property deal he wants to close. Once he has conservatorship, he can authorize moving her to a different facility, one where maybe there's no night janitor watching. I stood up so fast the chair rolled backward. I need to see my mother, right now. We went to the art room. It was a bright, cheerful space with large windows and tables covered in paints and clay. My mother was sitting with 3 other residents, working on what looked like a watercolor. When she saw me, her face lit up. Linda! I didn't know you were coming today. I pulled up a chair next to her, lowering my voice. Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Has Marcus been giving you anything? Changing your medications? Her hand froze mid-brushstroke. For a moment, she didn't speak. Then, very quietly, You believe me? Tell me everything. The story came out in fragments, my mother's voice shaking. It had started about 2 months ago. Marcus had begun visiting late at night, always when Jennifer wasn't there. He'd bring her special drinks, smoothies, he said, to help with her recovery. After drinking them, she'd feel foggy, disoriented, couldn't remember things. During the day, when Jennifer visited, Mom couldn't explain what was happening. The words wouldn't come. She'd try to warn us, but it came out garbled, confused. Jennifer thought it was the stroke affecting her speech. I stopped drinking the smoothies 2 weeks ago, Mom said. Started pouring them down the sink when he wasn't looking. My head cleared up. But by then, I'd already been documented as having so many episodes. Diane would write them down, me wandering, forgetting things, being combative with staff, except half of those things never happened. And the times I did wander, it was because I was trying to find someone to help me, to listen. "Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded. "I tried," her voice broke. "Last month, remember? I told you Marcus was stealing from me. You said I was confused, that Marcus was helping me. Jennifer said I was getting paranoid, that it was the stroke. After a while, I thought maybe I was going crazy. Maybe I was imagining all of it. Until Miguel started noticing too. I looked at Miguel, who was standing guard at the door. "What else do you know?" "Mr. Chen has been here almost every day this week," Miguel said. "During the day, playing the concerned son-in-law. At night, in the administrator's office. I heard them talking 2 nights ago. Mrs. Rothman said once the conservatorship is in place, she can certify your mother as needing memory care. That's the locked unit upstairs. More expensive, more restrictive. And Mr. Chen said something about needing to move fast because you'd been asking too many questions." I had been asking questions about Mom's care plan, about why she seemed worse some days than others, about the medication changes that kept happening without clear explanation. Jennifer had told me I was being paranoid, that I needed to trust the professionals. "We need to call the police," I said. "And tell them what?" Mom asked softly. "That my son-in-law visits me? That I feel foggy sometimes? Linda, I have a documented history of confusion. They'll say I'm imagining things." And Miguel, she looked at him with gratitude and sadness. "Miguel is an immigrant. No offense, Miguel, but you know as well as I do that your word against a successful attorney and a facility administrator won't carry much weight." She was right. We needed more than just our suspicions and some security footage. "Then we need to catch him in the act," I said. "Prove it beyond any doubt." Miguel nodded slowly. "I can help with that. Tonight, I can set up my phone in your mother's room, hidden, recording. If Mr. Chen shows up like he usually does." "He won't," I interrupted. "Not tonight. Tonight, he thinks I'm signing the papers. He'll be celebrating, not sneaking around." I thought fast. "But he'll come tomorrow night. After the conservatorship goes through, he'll want to make sure Mom's confused enough to validate the diagnosis." "So what do we do?" Mom asked. I looked at the clock on the wall. I'd been gone 15 minutes. They'd be looking for me soon. I go back. I tell them I'm not feeling well, that I need to postpone the signing. Just for a few days, doctor's appointment, something. That'll make Marcus nervous. If we're right about this, he'll try something sooner rather than later. "That's dangerous," Miguel said. "So is signing those papers," I replied. I went back to Diane Rothman's office. Jennifer, Marcus, and the attorney were all looking impatient. "I'm sorry," I said, pressing a hand to my temple. "I'm not feeling well. Terrible migraine. Can we reschedule for Monday?" Marcus's expression flickered just for a second, but I saw it. Anger, frustration. Then the smooth attorney mask slipped back into place. "Of course, Linda. Your health comes first. Though I should mention that the property trust distribution I mentioned does have a time-sensitive element. If we could possibly—" "Monday," I said firmly. "I'll feel better by Monday." Jennifer stood up, concerned. "Let me drive you home." No, I'll be fine. You stay, finish up whatever else you need to discuss. I just need to lie down." I left quickly, before anyone could argue. Miguel met me in the parking lot 20 minutes later, after his shift supervisor had left for a meeting. We sat in my car, and he handed me the flash drive. "Everything's on here," he said. "All the videos from the past 3 weeks. But Mrs. Peterson, you should know I checked the employee records. Mrs. Rothman received a $50,000 deposit in her personal account 2 weeks ago. I have a friend who works at the same bank. That's not proof of anything illegal, but it's suspicious as hell," I finished. "Miguel, why are you doing this? You could lose your job, your visa possibly. Why risk it?" He looked away, and I saw pain in his eyes. My grandmother, back in Mexico. When she got old, my uncle convinced her to sign over her house to him, said he'd take care of her. Instead, he sold it and put her in a terrible place. She died within 6 months. I couldn't help her. I was here, trying to make money to send home. I couldn't help her, but maybe I can help your mother. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, going through every video on Miguel's flash drive. Hours of footage, Marcus entering Mom's room at night. Marcus meeting with Diane Rothman. Marcus tampering with medication bottles. And then I saw something that made my blood run cold. A video from 3 days ago showing Marcus in Diane's office, looking at a document on her computer screen. I couldn't make out the details, but I could read his lips. Once she's in memory care, we can increase the sedation. 6 months, maybe less. Natural causes. They weren't just stealing from my mother. They were planning to kill her. I called the police at 6 a.m. Saturday morning. The detective who answered sounded skeptical at first. Elder abuse cases are complicated, and families often have conflicting claims. But when I mentioned the video evidence of a lawyer tampering with medications at a nursing home, her tone changed. "Don't sign anything," she said. "Don't confront anyone. Let us handle this." By Saturday afternoon, 2 detectives were sitting in my living room, watching Miguel's videos on my laptop. One of them, Detective Sarah Brennan, was making notes furiously. The other, Detective James Park, was on his phone, clearly calling in additional resources. "This is substantial," Detective Brennan said. "We'll need the original security files from the facility, not just these copies, but this is enough for a warrant. Mrs. Peterson, we're going to need your cooperation. Your mother's too." "Anything," I said. They laid out the plan. They'd execute a search warrant on Riverside Manor on Monday morning, seizing all financial records and security footage. They'd interview staff, but they also wanted to catch Marcus in the act, ideally, with him on record admitting to what he'd done. That meant I needed to go through with the Monday signing, wearing a wire. "Absolutely not," I said. "I'm not putting my mother at risk." "Your mother is already at risk," Detective Park said gently. "If we move too soon, Marcus will destroy evidence. His lawyer will claim the videos are edited, that you're misinterpreting innocent visits. But if we can get him to talk, to admit what he's been doing," I wanted to say no, but I thought about what Mom had told me. They needed proof beyond any doubt, and I thought about Miguel, risking everything to help us. What do I have to do? Monday morning arrived too quickly. I wore a tiny microphone taped under my collar, barely visible. I drove to Riverside Manor with my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Jennifer was already there when I arrived, looking relieved. "Feeling better?" she asked. "Much better," I lied. "Let's get this done." We went into Diane Rothman's office. Marcus was there, impeccably dressed as always, smiling. "Linda, so glad you're feeling well. Shall we proceed?" The papers were laid out on the desk. 3 signatures needed, mine, Jennifer's, and the notary's. Barry Steinberg, the attorney, uncapped his pen. I sat down, looked at the papers, took a breath. "Actually, before I sign, I have a few questions." Marcus's smile tightened slightly. "Of course. I visited Mom yesterday. She seemed clearer than usual, more like herself. She mentioned that she's been having trouble with her medications, that sometimes she feels confused after taking them. I wanted to ask Dr. Feldman about that, but he's not here today." "Dr. Feldman reviews all medication changes," Diane Rothman said smoothly. "I assure you, everything is appropriate for your mother's condition." "Right, her condition. Which has gotten worse since she arrived here 6 months ago. Doesn't that strike anyone as odd? She had a minor stroke. She should be recovering, not deteriorating." Jennifer reached over and squeezed my hand. "Linda, I know this is hard. It's hard for me too. But the professionals know what they're doing." "Do they?" I looked directly at Marcus. "Because Mom said something else yesterday. She said you've been visiting her at night, bringing her smoothies." For just a second, Marcus's expression went blank. Then he laughed. "Your mother's memory is unreliable, Linda. You know that." "Yes, I visit sometimes in the evening, when I'm working late at my office nearby. I bring her treats." "Is that a crime?" "What kind of treats?" "Smoothies sometimes. Your mother likes blueberry." "And what's in these smoothies?" Marcus's eyes narrowed. "Fruit. Yogurt." "Why are you interrogating me?" "Because Miguel Santos, the night janitor, has been documenting your visits for 3 weeks, and they're not in the evening. They're at 2, 3 in the morning." And you're not just bringing smoothies, you're tampering with Mom's medications." The room went silent. Diane Rothman stood up abruptly. "That is an outrageous accusation. Miguel Santos is no longer employed here as of this morning." "You fired him?" "He was caught stealing," Diane said coldly. "Security footage. We have a zero-tolerance policy." "Convenient," I said. "Except Miguel made copies of everything before you could delete it, including videos of you accepting $50,000 in cash from Marcus 3 weeks ago." Marcus stood up slowly. His face had gone pale. "You're having some kind of breakdown, Linda. The stress of your mother's condition." "I'm not having a breakdown. I have evidence. Video evidence of you drugging our mother, of you paying off the facility administrator, of you planning to move her to memory care and sedate her until she dies." "That's attempted murder, Marcus." "You're insane," Marcus said, but his voice shook. Jennifer was staring at him, her face white. "Marcus, is this true?" "Of course it's not true." "She's making up conspiracy theories because she can't accept that her mother is sick." "Then explain the videos," I said. "Explain why you're visiting a nursing home at 3 in the morning. Explain the $50,000 payment to Diane. Explain why Mom gets confused after drinking your smoothies but seemed perfectly clear yesterday after Miguel helped her stop drinking them." Barry Steinberg, the attorney, was packing up his briefcase. "I'm leaving. I'm not a part of whatever this is." "Smart choice," said a voice from the doorway. Detective Brennan and Detective Park entered the office, both wearing badges. "Marcus Chen, Diane Rothman. You're both under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, elder abuse, and attempted murder. You have the right to remain silent." The rest happened quickly. Marcus tried to run, but Detective Park caught him in the hallway. Diane Rothman started crying, then started trying to make a deal, saying Marcus had coerced her. They found additional evidence in Diane's office, a ledger showing multiple families she'd helped Marcus target over the past 2 years, other elderly residents, other conservatorships, at least 3 deaths that the detectives would investigate as potential murders. Jennifer was sobbing in my arms. "I didn't know," she kept saying. "I swear, Linda, I didn't know. I thought he said Mom needed help, that we were doing the right thing." "I know," I told her, even though part of me wondered how she could have missed the signs, how we both could have missed them for so long. The toxicology reports came back a week later. The smoothies Marcus had been giving Mom contained a mixture of sedatives and cognitive inhibitors, drugs that would cause confusion, memory loss, and over time, organ failure. Dr. Feldman, reviewing the case, said that if Mom had kept drinking them for another month, the damage would likely have been permanent. As it was, she'd need several weeks to fully detach from the medications, but her prognosis was excellent. Riverside Manor was shut down pending investigation. 17 families filed lawsuits. 3 other residents were found to have been similarly targeted, though their cases hadn't progressed as far as Mom's. One of them, sadly, had died 2 months earlier officially of natural causes, but now under investigation as homicide. Marcus Chen was charged with attempted murder, conspiracy, fraud, and elder abuse. Diane Rothman took a plea deal and testified against him. The attorney, Barry Steinberg, claimed ignorance of the scheme, but lost his license to practice law. In the end, Marcus was sentenced to 25 years in prison. Diane got 10 years. The facility's corporate owners paid out a $12 million settlement to the affected families. As for Mom, she moved in with me while she recovered. We spent the first few weeks just talking, really talking, without me dismissing her concerns as confusion or paranoia. She told me about the nights she'd laid awake, terrified, knowing something was wrong but unable to make anyone believe her. About the relief she'd felt when Miguel started paying attention, when someone finally saw what was happening. "You know what the worst part was?" she said one evening, sitting on my porch with a cup of tea. "Not that Marcus was trying to kill me. I figured that out eventually. It was that Jennifer didn't believe me, that you didn't believe me. That I started to wonder if maybe I really was going crazy, if maybe I deserved what was happening. I'm so sorry, Mom." "Don't be sorry. Learn from it." She looked at me with eyes that were clear and sharp and entirely herself. When someone vulnerable tells you they're being hurt, believe them, even if it seems unlikely, even if the person they're accusing seems trustworthy, especially if you love them both, Because predators count on that love. They count on you choosing not to see. 6 months later, Mom was back to her old self, bossy, opinionated, sharp as a tack. She started volunteering at an elder advocacy center, helping other families recognize the signs of abuse and fraud. Miguel got a job as a security consultant, teaching facilities how to better protect vulnerable residents. The court granted him special consideration for his visa, citing his extraordinary public service. Jennifer divorced Marcus and started therapy. Our relationship is still strained, but we're working on it. As for me, I learned to trust my gut. That feeling I had in Diane Rothman's office, when everything looked right but felt wrong, I'll never ignore that again. And I tell everyone I meet who has elderly parents, visit at odd hours. Ask questions. Pay attention to the staff who work nights, who see things when families aren't around. The janitors, the night nurses, the security guards. They're the ones who'll notice when something's wrong, because they're the ones who are actually paying attention. That Friday morning, I thought I was making the responsible decision. I thought I was being a good daughter by signing those papers, by trusting the professionals, by not making trouble. But the most responsible thing I ever did was listen to a night janitor who was brave enough to risk everything to tell me the truth. Sometimes the heroes in our lives don't look like we expect them to. Sometimes they're the people we barely notice, the ones society tells us not to take seriously. But they're the ones worth listening to, and I'll spend the rest of my life grateful that I finally did.